Welcome back to San Antonio's Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. I'm Mark Husenberger. We're at the Texas High School Coaches Association Convention. Now I'm joined by head coach Ron Rittimann of the Alamo Heights Mules. Well, Coach, ran a little bit late, very understandable. I've heard stories about the banquet on Saturday that they are trying to get the gathering to settle down and be quiet for a speaker, and it just didn't happen. It was like 8-year-olds because everyone was talking. People are starved for the camaraderie of Coach's School. It's great to be back.
It is. It's like herding cats around here right now, and the coaches they're little kids, and coaching.
Mules are stubborn.
No doubt. No, we are. But coaching is all about relationship and people, and we've kind of been without that for a while. So just to get 14,000 coaches back together in one building again, there's just a high level of excitement, a lot of handshakes and hugs, and just catching up. What's cool about the coaching fraternity is you might not have seen a coach for 2 years or so, but it's like picking up from yesterday, and that's what's cool about what we get to do.
What have been some of the other benefits you've derived from the coaches convention so far as of late Monday?
Well, I mean, obviously the number one thing is people, I think, have a feeling of normalcy coming back, that we get to do this thing, that we get to show up in person and not do it through a computer screen. So that's probably the biggest thing. But two, again, just about relationships. That we get to get together and share ideas and concepts and what the whole coaching fraternity is about. And we're back to doing it after really a 2-year absence.
Coach, you got hired at Alamo Heights, and then within days the pandemic happened. And I know there were similar situations where coaches didn't get to meet their new players. Take us through the process of fighting through that to develop a coach-player relationship with this new team.
Well, you're right, Mark, is that we got hired and got shut down pretty much immediately. So a lot of our introductions and meetings were done through a computer screen. And as the head coach, that's not a great way to meet people and build relationships. So I would sit in front of a computer screen at my house, and on the other end of it was 120, 130 young men, just little bitty squares on the computer screen. And really, I was doing most of the talking. And so I'm not going to say we were building relationships, but that's really how we got started. But once we got going and got started in the summer, then we started getting to know the kids a little better. And then we got shut down again, and then we came back on September 7th and started the season. And to the kids' credit, man, they bought in. They worked extremely hard. We changed some things, and, again, change is pretty hard. But they bought in, did all we asked them to do. And went on to have a fairly successful season.
One of the challenges you knew you were going to face signing on is the fact that Orem Stadium was being renovated, so you'd be playing a bunch of road games in effect. Comlander Stadium would be your home field on loan, and that by itself would create challenges even absent a pandemic. Tell us about working with the team under the circumstances where you're, in a sense, wanderers.
Well, I mean, here's really what we told the kids, the athletes and the players, is this: it's going to be a new staff, it's going to be a pandemic, it's going to be no facilities, and you're going to play all road games. So we can come up with a laundry list of great excuses to not be successful, or we can just roll up our sleeves and go to work and do the best we can. And again, I give the credit really to the seniors on that squad last year, but to all the players and coaches, is that they just showed up. They were resilient to what was going on, worked extremely hard, and we were able to win the district championship. So I give the credit to those seniors who took the lead in that and jumping on board, because, like I said, we had a bunch of reasons that we could have not been successful.
Then you had to juggle the schedule. As I recall, you had a couple of strong 4A programs on the schedule, and they got to start. Alamo Heights didn't. So you're scrambling for games, and you need a lot of them with a 6-team district. You want to have 5 non-district games. You want every game you can get for your players because that's a big experience. And then tell us about finding those games, trying to get something scheduled in the midst of all these challenges.
So the original schedule, like you mentioned, had some really strong teams on it, and because some of them were 4A or private, they got to start on time and get started. So we got scratched from their schedules. So we were able to go pick up 3 other games who were also 3 very good programs. We played Churchill, and we played Canyon, and we played Johnson, which were all 3 really good teams last year. So we got tested early. But really, to be honest with you, besides the number of games changing from 10 to 8, we were really working on ourselves and building our program and changing the culture a little bit. And so those first 3 games were eye-opening for all of us. But we really worked on becoming a team and gelling together, and we kind of got on a roll after that once we got into district.
Tell us about that district championship game, because you're going against Bernie Champion, you're going against Kerrville-Tybee. There are great programs that have ambitions as high as the Alamo Heights Mules going into every season. So, they got to play home games. So, take us through the district schedule and the triumphs of Alamo Heights. As
Sure.
Under the ideal circumstances, taking on Bernie Champion or Kerrville-Tybee is not going to be easy.
Well, it was obvious from the very beginning when we got to Alamo Heights is that there was a high level of competitive nature when you talk about Bernie Champion or Kerrville-Tybee, and it's justified because I think, and I don't know the exact history, but if you go over the last however many years, those have been the 2 teams that have won the district championship year after year. And so we knew that kind of going in, and that those were the types of programs that you got to find a way to beat. So we got off to a pretty good start, played pretty good football, and got a little better each week. By the time we went to go play Bernie Champion, which turned out to be the district championship game, you don't know that at the time, but it turned out to be. Our guys were pretty confident. We traveled up there, which I wouldn't tell anybody to go do that. That's a tough place to play on Friday night. But our kids played extremely hard. I don't know how well we played, but we played extremely hard and created some things and ended up winning the game on the scoreboard. And made some big plays along the way. And then our confidence level really got a lot better, and we finished out the year playing at a pretty high level going into the playoffs.
And the playoffs ended up being a very peculiar situation. I've talked with several coaches whose seasons ended in very difficult circumstances. Harlan had that situation. Johnson had that situation. But after so much at Alamo Heights, tell us about the end of the season, saying goodbye to these players after all they've been through.
Well, it was an very emotional time for me because I actually had COVID and wasn't at the playoff game. I was on my living room couch watching it on TV with everybody else. So I didn't actually get to visit with the kids live after the game because that's always an emotional time. Anytime your season ends as a coach or as the players, it's kind of a finality of it, and it's a very emotional time because of what you've been through together and the relationships you've built. So I had to do mine through a computer screen again, which is ironic because that's kind of how it all started, meeting those guys. But that senior group, like I said, they responded to everything we asked them to do. They took the lead that the younger players could watch and learn how to practice and how to encourage each other and be great teammates. And they did a great job, and I couldn't be more happy with what those seniors did last year.
And it goes with all sports at Alamo Heights because I don't know that you got to play an athletic event on campus. The only teams that weren't uprooted from their regular digs were the baseball team and the softball team who play off campus anyway.
Sure.
So a logistical challenge for the entire athletic department to get programs going, never mind maintain the levels of success they're accustomed to.
I couldn't be more proud of what the athletes and the coaches did this last year. There was a lot of behind-the-scenes work done by Jennifer Fox, our assistant AD. She took responsibility on finding us gyms all over the city to rent out for basketball practice, basketball games, volleyball games, practice, everything. We just had to have places to go. And the hard part, Mark, is it's okay to schedule that, but when you're a day away from a game and that place you're renting calls you to say, hey, we had a positive COVID test, so y'all can't come to our gym anymore. Now you're scrambling to find another one. And then you got to work through the transportation issues and all the things that go into it. It kind of became a full-time job for that 1 year. So we're just excited that we think our facilities will be done. We think we're getting COVID behind us, that we'll have kind of a normal school year this coming year.
What are some of the things you're looking forward to with that? Starting with home games, games on campus. That's so huge in the Alamo Heights community that it's built around that high school, like happens with so many other small. But it's kind of a small-town atmosphere surrounded by a major metropolitan area.
It is, and that's really what our focus is right now is we want this to be a community thing. We're trying to bring all the former players, former parents, people that live in those neighborhoods right there around the school to come back on Friday nights and be in the stands. Come back and watch basketball games. Come back on campus and be part of what's going on. The community is awesome. The coolest thing I've learned so far about Alamo Heights is most of the athletes that play, if you ask them where their parents went to school, they kind of look at you crazy because it's supposed to be known that their parents went to Alamo Heights, and most of them, their grandparents went to Alamo Heights. And I think we're going to have a fourth-generation football player this next year on our team. So they're in the community. They're ingrained. They want to be successful, and that's what's exciting as a coach is to be part of that.
Well, Coach, we'll be carrying all the Alamo Heights games on Texas Sports Productions through the Big Game Coverage app, and delighted to do that as always. And games at the newly renovated Orem Stadium, so you'll get to play some games there
as soon as they turn it over to us.
How long will they be on time, or are you going to have to scramble some more?
I would say if I know construction like construction works, we'll be scrambling. So what we're really doing, Mark, though, in honesty, is we got our plan A set, the schedule set, everything's good, but we also have plan B ready to go in case it's needed because you just have no control over certain things.
Well, after our last year, I guess you're ready for anything.
We should be. There's no telling. It was a very unique year, and again, I couldn't be more proud of what the results were.
Coach Rittimann, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great season. We'll look forward to having your games on Texas Sports Productions.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thanks for all y'all do for high school athletics.
That's Ron Rittimann, head coach of the Alamo Heights Mules. We'll be back with more from the Texas High School Coaches Association conventions after this. I'm Mark Kusenberger from Texas Sports Productions.